Psychopath. Not the monster from movies, not the villain in shadows, the one who sits across from you smiling, calm, charming. The one who listens closely, not to understand but to control. They won't raise their voice, they won't lose their temper, but they'll slowly dismantle your confidence, your clarity, your peace. And when the damage is done, they'll walk away untouched. The Stoics taught us to see people not by what they say, but by what they do. Because character reveals itself in patterns, not promises. In this video, we'll uncover 5 signs you're dealing with a psychopath, based not on fear, but on quiet observation. Because once you see clearly, you can't be controlled. Let's begin. Sign number 1, charm that feels engineered. From the moment they walk into your life, everything clicks. They listen better than anyone else. They remember tiny details. They make you laugh, flatter you at just the right moment, and seem to get you in a way that others never have. It's intoxicating. But here's the truth. Real connection takes time. It grows. It's imperfect. What you're feeling isn't connection, it's calculation. Marcus Aurelius warned us, the mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting. For a psychopath, your trust is that obstacle. Their charm is the tool they use to remove it. They mirror your values, mimic your passions, and weaponize your emotions. It feels real, but it's rehearsed. If every conversation feels like a performance, if their charm feels like a spotlight rather than a fire, step back. Watch. Observe. The Stoics teach us to question not just others, but ourselves. Ask, am I drawn to them, or are they pulling me in? That's exactly what they do. They suck you in quickly, not gently. They speed up closeness like it's a race. In a few days or weeks, they might start calling you their best friend, their soulmate, or the only one who has ever really understood them. They'll tell you stories of tragedy or struggle that make them feel vulnerable, but they're often so theatrical that they feel like movies. And that's your first hint. The drama isn't always real. It's been chosen, made, set up. Time finds the truth. Seneca once said. And that's the most important part. People that are psychopaths don't want to give time a chance. They know that if you spend too much time with them without getting hooked, you can start to see the flaws in their story, the little cracks in their personality, and how their story changes depending on who is listening. They speed up then. They lavish you with love, attention, and praise until you can't think straight and give them your trust like a gift. But you have to earn trust, not take it. The Stoics also thought that things that are easy to offer are easy to take. Epictetus said, "It is not things themselves that bother us, but what we think about them." A psychopath will mess with what you think. They'll change them. They will change the way you think about yourself, other people, and even your past. It may feel like you're waking up to a new kind of life, but you're really being put to sleep. You're being put under a spell by flattery and fake emotional connection. Look for small signals that someone is over-personalizing. They might praise very precise things about you, like your laugh, how you tilt your head, or the exact words you uttered in a discussion 2 weeks ago. Does it feel important? It feels like love. But a lot of the time, it's not. It's a manipulative method called love bombing, in which someone uses a lot of praise and attention to get you to feel a certain way. Real charm is not planned. It comes about spontaneously from being honest and having the same ideals. But planned charm is something you do over and over. It's an act that has been mastered throughout time. People with psychopathy can read people like scripts. They know what answers win praise, what jokes attract laughs, and what stories garner sympathy. And most crucially, they remember what you need. They give it to you like bait, not because they care, but because it gives them power. Marcus Aurelius said, "The things you think about affect the quality of your mind." When someone starts to take over your mind and fill it with intoxicating intensity, you have to ask yourself, is this joy or is this intoxication? Because those two things are not the same. One sets free, the other puts you in chains. One thing to look out for is how they deal with boundaries at first. Do they respect how fast you want the relationship to grow? Or do they keep pushing it ahead with unending excitement? A psychopath may often see your hesitation as a challenge and try to charm you even more to get you to do what they want. What seems like commitment might really be conquest. And when you do set a limit, pay heed. Do they respect it? Or do they find smart methods to get around it, such as using humor or seduction? Being stoic isn't only about saying no to things that entice you. It's about saying no to being manipulated, especially when it comes with compliments. There is another layer that is not so obvious: isolation. Their attractiveness starts to operate like a shield between you and the rest of the world. Friends don't seem as significant. Their imperfections don't seem as bad. They start to fill every emotional hole in your life and every quiet time. You seem to be getting new programming that makes you circle around them. It seems like a fairy tale at first, but the story changes soon. When they know they have power, their warmth starts to fade. They start to see how loyal you are. They can say something upsetting or dismissive to get you angry, and then pretend like you overreacted. That's the start of being in charge. The Stoics would encourage you to look at more than just what someone says. You should also think about why they say it. Seneca said, "You must live for others if you want to live for yourself." A psychopath just cares about themselves. They simply give to get. If you're not sure what to do, just say no. No. Make a limit, and then see how they react. Someone who is truly charming will respect your freedom, but the manufactured charmer will get angry, make you feel bad, or stop loving you. Why? Because your freedom threatens their plan. The Stoics thought that reason was the most important virtue. Not feeling, not feelings, not blindly trusting charisma, but logic. If someone is around you and makes you feel bad, if their praise makes you want their approval, or if their attention feels like a narcotic, your reason is already under attack. Being aware is the best way to defend yourself from contrived charm. Look, the ability to stand back from your feelings and ask yourself tough questions like, does this feel real or rehearsed? Am I becoming a better person, or are they just changing me to match their needs? Stoicism doesn't tell us to be suspicious of others. It tells us to view things clearly, and your protection is clarity. So when someone comes into your life with a lot of charm, a quick connection, and love as in a novel, stop. Watch. It takes time to trust, and the truth always comes out, but only to those who can wait long enough to see it. Sign number 2. Avoid where empathy should live. The true test of someone's character isn't how they treat you when they want something, it's how they treat others when there's nothing to gain. Watch how they respond to someone else's pain. Do their eyes narrow with real concern? Or is there a flicker of annoyance before the mask returns? Psychopaths lack what Seneca called the humanitas, that shared emotional understanding that binds us together. They simulate empathy, but at surface level. Their comfort sounds scripted, their concern vanishes the moment your pain no longer serves them. Seneca once said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." But the psychopath sees people not as humans, but as opportunities. That's the difference, and it's chilling. If you sense a hollowness in their reactions, if their comfort feels mechanical, you might be looking into the eyes of someone who only knows about feelings, but never actually feels them. Empathy is what holds us together as a species. It's what makes someone stop to help a stranger in need, what makes someone else cry when they're sad, and what fills the silence with presence instead of words. But a psychopath doesn't have that glue. You might not see it right away because they are really good at copying. They've learned how to read the signs, such when to hug, what to say, and when to nod. But they are acting in a drama that they don't believe in. Their sympathy is fake. Epictetus reportedly said, "The wise resist pleasures, but the foolish are slaves to them." What could be more fun for a psychopath than having power without feeling bad about it? They see empathy as an unneeded burden. A sensible person doesn't give in to the want to control or lie. A psychopath does, without the emotional brakes that stop the rest of us. You will notice it in small ways. When someone informs them of a loss, they might say they're sorry, but there is a pause, as if they're going through a mental script. And their eyes, they don't get softer, they look about, they do math. They're not with the other person, they're merely handling the situation. And then there's what happens next. A truly caring person checks in. They ask again, they don't forget. But what about the psychopath? Their worry is gone now that the moment is past. They never really felt the anguish, it was just numbers. Marcus Aurelius said, "Don't spend the rest of your time here worrying about other people unless it helps the common good." That idea comes from logic, not from being chilly. The Stoics weren't heartless. They just thought that compassion should be useful. But for the psychopath, even pretending to care is a way to get what they want. A way to disarm, to look regular, and to keep up the appearance of decency while lacking its heart. And this is where things start to turn bad, because their lack of empathy isn't always clear right away. In fact, it often looks like being really attentive. At first, they could seem quite present, interested in your stories, your pain, and your past. But with time, things start to look the same. Your feelings start to seem one-sided. You bleed, and they watch. You cry, and they either ignore it or use it against you later as a sign of weakness. They might say something like, "You're too emotional," or "Why are you always so sensitive?" Like your being human is a bother to them. And it really is, because they don't know what your emotions are like. They know how to speak the language, but they don't live there. Seneca talked about how important it is to have sympathia, which is the idea that all people are connected. He thought that by recognizing this connection, we improve who we are. But psychopaths do the opposite. They stay alone. They break free. They utilize emotional distance to hurt people. They have more control when they don't feel. And for them, that's the most important thing. Power without responsibility. You could start to feel like you're not truly seen, but just analyzed. Like your responses are being saved for later. Like your weaknesses are no longer protected, but they are kept in an emotional vault that they can get to whenever it helps them the most. That empty feeling? That's not something you made up. That's your gut telling you that something important is missing. The most disturbing thing is how calmly they can watch someone else suffer. In groups, people don't flinch at catastrophe. They might even tell a joke. They could roll their eyes at things that other people think are important. They think of mourning as a play, sadness as a sign of weakness. Use feelings as a tool. Epictetus said, "Things don't bother men, but the way they think about them does." People who are psychopaths don't feel anything about other people's pain. They just see it as noise. And if your sorrow doesn't help them reach their goals, it becomes muted. But here's your strength: being recognized. You don't have to stay with someone who can't understand how you feel. You are not a tool or a source of emotional support. You are a human being, If you feel like your feelings are always treated with coldness or your pain is met with apathy, then go. Don't be angry. No reason given. Just a calm return to your own peace of mind. The Stoics thought that we should live in the present and view things as they are, not as we want them to be. So if someone keeps showing you that they don't care about others, believe them. Your faith is your shield, and your quiet is your limit. When a psychopath is around, your feelings are not safe, but your awareness, your ability to see things clearly, is. And after that, the emptiness they carry can't get to you anymore. Stay grounded, don't go to sleep, and don't ever say you're sorry for feeling deeply in a world that sometimes only cares about the illusion of depth. Sign number 3. Pathological storytelling. At first, their life sounds inspiring. They've overcome incredible odds. They've traveled the world. They've met fascinating people. But give it time, and you'll notice the inconsistencies. One day they grew up in hardship. The next, they were raised in privilege. Dates don't line up. Names change. Context slips. And when you question it, they either get offended or spin a new tale even more elaborate than the first. The Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus emphasized the importance of truth as the foundation of any healthy interaction. No one who lies is free, he said. And this is key. The pathological liar is not free. They are always imprisoned by their own narrative. But there's more. The lies aren't just about impressing you. They're about controlling you, controlling how you see them, controlling what you believe, controlling your reality. Pay attention to the small details they hope you'll forget. That's where the real story hides. When you first meet them, everything they say seems like it came from a movie, almost too good to be true. They talk in great detail about encounters that almost killed them, escapes that were impossible, and amazing rescues. They always seem to be the main character in every story, playing the part of the misunderstood genius or the wounded hero. But as time goes on, the threads start to come apart. The places they said they lived don't fit the narrative they've stated. The relationships they talked about seem to disappear. Things they were sure about start to change in tone or time. And when you ask them simple things like, "Wait, I thought you said you met him in 2018, not 2020? A shadow covers their face. They became more tense. They'll either change the subject quickly, steer the conversation toward something more flattering, or they'll dig in deeper and make up an even bigger lie to cover up the first one. This is how the cycle gets worse. Lies need other lies to be alive. And as time goes on, this web becomes not only tiring for them, but also confusing for you. You can start to doubt your own memories. You might think that you heard or understood something wrong. That's not a mistake. That's how it looks. It's a way to control others, and the Stoics would tell us to deal with it with reason and observation. Marcus Aurelius remarked, "If someone can show me that what I think or do is wrong, I will gladly change because I want to know the truth." The psychopath is the other way around. They never look for the truth. They twist it, turn it, change it as needed to keep up their act of being in charge. You become a threat the instant you question their story, not because you're wrong, but because you're correct. And the worst part? They lie with such certainty and conviction that even the most sensible person can start to believe them. They've practiced. They've become better. They talk with emotional certainty, as if they believe the story, which they do in a lot of ways. It's not just your tale. It's also for them. It makes their actions okay. It keeps them from being held responsible. It lets them live without feeling bad or thinking about what they did. Epictetus said that we need to train ourselves to tell the difference between impressions that are in our power and those that are not. When someone lies to you over and over again, it changes how you see the world. But your strength comes from being clear, seeing things for what they are, not what other people tell you they are. That means looking for patterns, seeing the differences, believing what makes you feel uneasy. The lies are always big for a reason. They don't get the power they want from small lies. These stories are used as leverage to get others to believe big lies about trauma, achievements, tragedies, or significant relationships. They make you like them, feel sorry for them, trust them, or forgive them when they hurt you. Every story has a goal: to win your trust, to make you less skeptical, or to stop you from judging. And when their stories come out, they almost never say they're sorry. They don't do that. They deflect. They make accusations. They act like they're the victim. People will say things like, "Why would you even question me?" Or, "I can't believe you don't trust me after everything I've told you." The guilt is turned around. Instead of feeling bad for telling the falsehood, they make you feel bad for noticing it. But the Stoics taught us that acts, not feelings, are what make us feel shame. Seneca remarked, "Sometimes a guilty person is lucky enough to not be caught, but they never feel sure of it." That paranoia that won't go away, it comes out in the form of defensiveness, anger, or frenetic narrative. The compulsive liar is continually running away from the truth, from being found out, and from the quiet that shows who they really are. So, how can you keep yourself safe? By staying grounded in reality. When someone's stories appear too dramatic, too easy, or too likely to change, write them down, in a literal sense. Put down what they say, not because they require proof, but because you need to be clear. The fissures will show with time. Don't let the glamour of a good story fool you. Don't judge someone's character by the story they tell you. Instead, look at how consistent they are, what they do, and how they deal with the facts. Are they honest even when it hurts? Do they say they're wrong when they get caught? Or do they just make more layers of illusion? It's not mean to question a story. You are not being disloyal if you see inconsistencies. You are in charge of keeping your heart and mind safe from being manipulated and distorted. So when you hear the next story that makes your jaw drop, stop. Don't say anything. Don't confront. Just look. There is a quieter truth behind every big story that they don't want you to see. And it's in that silence that you start to see who they truly are. Sign number 4. Master-level manipulation. This is the chess game. You never asked to play, but you're already a few moves behind. You'll start to feel confused. You'll question your memory. You'll wonder, did I really say that? Or maybe I'm just being sensitive. That's gaslighting. And for the psychopath, it's not just a tactic, it's an instinct. They offer gifts with strings attached. They pit people against each other. They test your loyalty, then punish you for failing imaginary rules you never agreed to. It's control by confusion, power by silence, domination masked as care. Epictetus taught that the only thing truly within our control is our own mind. But when you're being manipulated by someone who rewrites your reality day by day, even your thoughts begin to feel foreign. When someone consistently leaves you doubting yourself while they remain perfectly composed, they are not negotiating, they are dominating. And that's a game you never win. You just leave. The psychopath is a genius because they can make you feel like the bad guy in your own story. They smile at you while making you doubt what you know. They make you feel better soon after they hurt you. They hurt your confidence and then say they can heal it. It's a mental trap that keeps you stuck in a loop where you're continuously trying to please them, saying you're sorry and changing. You start to censor what you say. You walk on eggshells. You explain too much. You question the most basic facts. It's not your fault that this happened. It was done on purpose. You're not going crazy. Someone is messing with it. Seneca once said, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." That's how manipulation works. You suffer in quiet, in perplexity, and in expectation without knowing why or how to fix it. Each word is a test. Every time you don't speak, you get in trouble. This is something that psychopaths know. They do well when things are unclear. You might leave if they offend you directly. But if they say things like, "You're just too emotional," or "You're remembering it wrong," you'll stay and try harder to be better. To not be too much. To be deserving of their praise. And the more you strive, the more they have power over you. They make you question your friends, family, and even your past. They don't compel you to be alone. They do it by making you feel that way. They make it seem like other people don't care about you. They give you the impression that they are the only ones who really get you. And gradually, their voice is the only one you believe, even as it breaks you down. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul takes on the color of its thoughts." Your spirit gets darker when they control every idea you have. Your spirit gets dimmer. You start to live in response to their emotions, likes, and made-up world. You might even start to defend them. That's how far the manipulation goes. You'll explain their actions to other people. You won't make the harm seem as bad. You will repeat what they say. You can say they're just intense, they had a rough childhood, or they mean well. But really, you're not protecting them. You're defending your hope. The hope that this isn't what it seems like. The hope that the person you met at first is still in there someplace. But that individual was fake. People really do change. They get bigger. They are responsible. The psychopath doesn't do any of that. They pass the blame around like smoke in the wind. They are never wrong. People just don't get them. And if you call them out, they'll flip the story on you. You are now the one in charge. You are the one making things dramatic. You're not stable. Don't believe it. Epictetus said, "People are not upset by events. They are upset by how they think about them." You may trust your own judgment. You may trust your own judgment. If someone always makes you feel anxious, tired, or confused, pay attention to that. That's not being paranoid. That's your gut telling you to wake up. And here's what Stoic clarity teaches us. Manipulation only works in the dark. Bring it out into the open. Write down what people say. Speak the words. Get an outside view from people you trust. Make a list of the things that don't feel right. The exit becomes clear when the pattern does, because you will never win the game they are playing. Not because you're weak, but because the game is broken. It's fixed. It is meant to take away your peace, strength, and sense of worth so that they can feel in charge. Don't do it. Seneca said, "Hang out with people who will make you better." If someone always makes you feel tiny, distorts your reality, and drains you, they are not helping you. They are putting you in a cage. Respect, common ideals, and honest communication are what make real relationships work. Manipulation turns all of those into ways to control. If you feel that you're always the one who has to change, say sorry and keep the connection going. You're not in a relationship. You're in a performance. And the part you're playing isn't who you really are. So take a step back. Check out the board. You don't have to beat them. You just have to leave the game. And at first, you'll feel something unusual when you do. Quiet, nothingness. But gradually, that quiet will turn into tranquility, into clear, into the calm strength that the Stoics talked about. Not the power to put up with being manipulated, but the strength to say no to it. You don't need anyone's permission to take back your mind. You only need to be brave enough to declare, "That's enough." Sign number 5. No remorse after the wreckage. Now watch. Do they apologize? Do they take responsibility? Or do they deflect, redirect, and blame? Psychopaths do not feel remorse. They feel inconvenience. If they say sorry, it's to smooth the situation, not to heal the harm. Their goal is never reconciliation, it's reputation management. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you can commit injustice by doing nothing. And when you confront a psychopath, you will see exactly that. Nothing. No guilt, no shame, no regret. Just a cold, steady gaze and maybe a dismissive shrug. Real remorse changes behavior. Fake remorse changes tactics. If someone repeatedly hurts others and shows no change in their ways, no sign of internal struggle, no empathy for the damage left behind, you are not dealing with someone wounded. You are dealing with someone dangerous. They appear bored when you tell them the truth. When you tell them how much anguish they've caused, they turn the conversation back to themselves. "You're too touchy." "I didn't mean it that way." "You're making a big deal out of nothing." These words don't mean "I'm sorry." They mean "I'm done." And most of the time, you'll leave wondering about yourself instead of them. They might act sorry for a short time, maybe by sending a text, giving a gift, or crying while explaining. But pay attention to what occurs after. Does the behavior stop? Or does it just change into something that's tougher to catch? Seneca said, "What good does it do to bring up past pains? Why be unhappy now just because you were then?" The psychopath makes sure you stay unhappy. Not because you were wronged once, but because the harm never ends. It keeps happening in new ways, always framed as your fault, and always followed by a weak "I'm sorry," or no acknowledgement at all. This isn't regret. This is a plan. And when you show them the facts, when the proof is clear, they don't freak out. They act tough. They go into defense mode. Not to keep the relationship safe, but to keep their reputation safe. They'll say you're overreacting, or insane, or worse, they'll tell other people you injured them, that you are the one who is in charge, that you are not stable. This is how they use stories as weapons. They don't want to mend the harm. They want to delete it. Not by healing, but by rewriting. The Stoics taught us that acts, not words, are what make a person virtuous. Epictetus stated, "Don't explain your philosophy. Live it." It's not the words of an apology that matter. It's the change that matters. You don't thank someone for bringing you flowers after they burned down your house. You want to know why the fire started in the first place, and you keep an eye out to see if it happens again. Psychopaths will destroy your peace and give you roses made of ash. And here's the worst part. They will typically act like nothing occurred and go on. No end. No looking back. Nothing but quiet. You have questions. They keep going with a smile. Why? Because they never cared about it emotionally. For a while, they played a role in your life. They left after the show was over. Musonius Rufus thought that real wisdom was about being better not just for ourselves but for other people as well. He answered, "Hurt someone else and you hurt yourself." The psychopath doesn't think this. They hurt others and don't care. Not because they are strong, but because they are empty. You could think, if I could just make them understand, or if I show them how much they've hurt me, they'll finally feel it. But they won't. You need a conscience to feel bad about something. You need to be able to feel for others. You have to have something inside you that can feel how heavy another person's pain is. No, they don't. And this is the most frightening part. They know you do. They look into it. They know exactly how to fake it, copy it, and make it look real. But in reality, they don't feel the pain. They simply look at the result. And when it costs too much to keep their mask on, they take it off. Not in a dramatic fight, but in a chilly, planned lack of interest. What do? You remember what the Stoics said about how to be in charge. Marcus Aurelius remarked, "You have power over your mind, not things that happen outside of it." If you understand this, you will be strong. You can't make them feel bad. You can't make people have a conscience, but you can keep your peace. You can set a limit. You can choose to stop putting up with someone who hurts people again and over again and doesn't care. It's not clumsiness when someone continually breaking things like trust, boundaries, and hearts and never looks back. It's destruction. And it won't stop unless you stop letting it. Leave without saying you're sorry. Get better without the closure. Let go without knowing. You should not wait for them to feel sorry, since they will never do. And the more you wait, the more of yourself you'll lose. Begin to live right away, and think of each day as a new life, Seneca advised. Start over, beyond their control. Start over, and don't need them to prove your grief. Start over, knowing that they don't have to feel bad about what they did to you. All it needs is your choice. The Stoics thought that being clear was more important than being comfortable. They didn't make people sound better than they are. They taught us that we don't find serenity by avoiding sorrow. We find it by facing the truth. So keep in mind that charm without depth, empathy without heart, stories that change, deception that makes you confused, and harm that doesn't leave you feeling guilty are not just quirks. They are signs. Don't act like a therapist. Don't think you can fix them. You have to safeguard your reason, your peace, and your path. Seneca remarked, "The wise man avoids the wicked not out of fear, but out of caution." Until next time, stay aware, keep grounded, and follow what your gut is telling you.